Thank you. It's Mr. Burke here. I'll just going to take you through solving some word problems that require simultaneous equation skills. So firstly, you might want to stop and write down in your notebook the points I've put on the screen about the process that we're going to follow to solve the simultaneous equation word problems. Okay, so we're moving on to the first problem. So here we have a problem. The difference between two numbers is 4 and the result of adding the two numbers is 10. Find the numbers. The first step, as we saw on the last slide, is to define the two pronumerals. So we write let x equal the larger number and let's let y be the smaller number. Just very nice to say which one's the larger, because we're working with the difference of the two numbers, so that way we know which one to write in our equation with the subtraction. Okay, so the next step is to write down our two equations by looking at the information in the problem and seeing if we can actually work out what the equations are. So the difference between the two numbers is 4. That's the first thing we're told. So the larger number is x, so that would mean that we can write x, take away y, the biggest number, take away the smaller number, is equal to 4, and we'll label that as equation 1. Alright, the second thing we're told is that adding the two numbers gives us 10. So again, that's hopefully not too hard for you to see that x plus y is 10 is our second equation. So that's really good. Now we have our two simultaneous equations. Now we're going to go in and do some working. First thing to do now is to work out what method we should use. Now we're going to choose here to eliminate y by adding the two equations. You can see that if I add equation 1 and equation 2, then we're going to eliminate the y's and we'll just have the x's on one side, which is nice. But you could also, for example, eliminate x by subtracting the two equations, or we could even rearrange one of the equations and use substitution. But here let's add the two equations. So add 1, 2, and we get 2x on one side because we're adding the 2, and we get the zeros cancel on the other side because we have to do the same operation on both sides. Again, we're adding, so we get 10 plus 4, which is equal to 14. So then we can write that as 2x is equal to 14, and we can then divide by 2 on both sides, and that simplifies down to x is equal to 7. So that we think at this stage is one of our answers. Let's now move on to the next step. Now that we've found the value for one of the pronumerals using elimination, now we're going to move on and we're going to substitute into the other equation. So we've already got the value of x to 7, and now we want to substitute it into one of the equations. At this stage it doesn't matter which, actually. Substitute x equals 7 into, let's choose equation 1, and we get 7 minus y is equal to 4. Now we use our linear algebra skills that you've all been practicing to solve that. So because we have a minus y on one side, let's just add y to both sides to make that a bit nicer. And we get 7 is equal to 4 plus y. We're nearly there, so now we just want to subtract 4 from both sides, and we get 3 is equal to y, or y is equal to 3. Okay, so before we write our solution in words, of course we need to check. So let's go and do that over here. Now importantly, we don't need to check in both equations because we've already substituted the value we think is right, x equals 7, into 1. So we only have to check in equation 2. So equation 2 is x plus y equals 10. So we think that it's 7, which is x, plus 3, which is y, is equal to 10, and that's correct. So we have the solution, and our very last step is to write in words, very important with a word problem, to finish it off correctly. So the larger number is 7, and the smaller number is 3. And we're done with that question. So I'll just pause the video for a moment, and you can have a look at this and at the working at the top, and copy that down in your book. Okay, we're back live. At this stage we'll have some more problems that I'll do on following videos, but here I'll just show you as our last step that here on the screen are some more practice problems, word problems with simultaneous equations, and the kind of problem I've just shown you will be very similar to these ones here, questions 1, 2, 3, 4 and 14. So that's a good place to start. And yes, and I'll do some more problems in a following video.